Okay, so as everyone knows, it is a day later. But don't worry, we're making completely up for it. We're actually getting 2 videos today. There's actually going to be a Versus that comes out today. Cryptic Comment is king. So there's also going to be a Versus posted on this coming Sunday. And 2 Versus, one next Saturday and one next Sunday. So we've got a lot on our plates, if you know what I mean. And of course, we have another movie review coming up next Friday. So we'll go back to Fridays next week. So... AJ, we're going to discuss 5 movies this week. All movies we saw theatrically, which is weird because most of the time we have at least 1 or 2 that we saw via another means. But this time we actually watch all 5 of these in the theater. So, AJ, take it away.
Alright, we're going to start with Carrie.
Alright.
I guess I could start off with a bit of a spoiler. Which is not really a spoiler, but... Yeah, I'm just going to say that.
It's out there now.
If you're really that worried about... You shouldn't be that worried about it, but if you're really that worried about spoilers, then you can move on. But a big question going into this one was it going to take the book and the original movie from 1976 have 2 totally different endings.
Okay.
And the question was the remake going to take the book's ending or the movie's ending? It's worth noting that with the exception of a few things that I'll probably mention later, this remake is exactly the same movie as the 1976 movie.
Yeah.
Did you see the original?
No. We were supposed to watch it at some point. Time just didn't get there yet.
Well, this one, and it's worth noting, Lawrence D. Gordon, not Lawrence Gordon, the doctor, played by Carrie Escape Plan, but is a co-writer on this remake. He's the top credited writer above the other guy. Okay. He also wrote the original movie, so that might explain that. It's like how they hired the same guy to write both Hitler movies.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I'm basically, well, obviously, there are differences. But for starters, let me go into something I was really, really worried about. Actually, I'll go into what I was worried about later. I'll talk about what everybody else in the world was worried about, and that's the casting of Chloe Moretz. Apparently, that kind of, I don't know, I don't know what internet crowds are involved with what, but I guess if you talk to different groups, you'll get different results. I don't know. Most of the people that I talk to online hate Chloe Moretz.
Yeah.
And can't stand her and thought she was a horrible casting choice here. I don't know if surely she's got a fan basis.
Kick ass.
Well, the thing was I wasn't sure. I don't think she's bad.
No.
But, she's still got some work to do if she wants to be great. But, she's like 15 or 16, so, that's a given. But, the thing is about the people complaining about her being the casting choice, I noticed that if you go back and watch the original movie, unless I was on something and maybe I was just, hearing things, but if people want to disagree, but if you go back and watch the original movie, alright, I will say that when you watch the remake, it is kind of like Chloe Moretz is just kind of doing a bit of an imitation of Sissy Spacek, like as far as the movement and stuff like that. Like she's really, I'll criticize her performance in a second, but what the point I'm getting at is, if you listen to Sissy Spacek's voice in some of the scenes in the original movie, she has Chloe Moretz's voice. Not all the time, but sometimes I was like, wow, that's... Chloe Moretz may not have been such bad casting because this sounds just like her. 20 years before she was even born. But
there we go.
That's the problem, though, is the problem with her casting is she's not, Sissy Spacek has that look about her, whereas I won't say Chloe Moretz is ravishing or anything, but she doesn't have that. She's not naturally weird, and when she does like the hunched over Carrie thing, it seems more like try hard acting than her, actually coming off like a weird outcast.
Mm.
And it just, I'm trying to think of who they could have gotten.
That was my next question. I was going to ask you, if you had to cast, who would you cast as Carrie White?
Well, the thing is that she looks too. I feel weird saying this about somebody who's like 15, but she looks too good to play Carrie.
I agree.
If she looked more like she did in Let Me In, that might be more.
That might have been what the director should have went for in look, but they decided.
But they
to
didn't.
stick
They
with
did. They didn't do anything to like creep her up or uglify her. Or anything.
She's still Mindy McCready. She really is. I mean, if you look at her in Kick-Ass 2 and you look at her in Carrie, she looks about the same. Her hair's a little tousled, but that's about it.
So, yeah, there was nothing really like, I mean, when she has like I don't know. There are some scenes at the end when she's covered in the pig's blood and all that, where she looked naturally freaky.
Agreed.
But, like that particular shot where the camera's like turned sideways and she's walking down the street, that was a creepy shot.
Exactly.
But for the most part, the weirdness that has to come with the character of Carrie didn't come naturally to Chloe Moretz. So, and the other one was, like I mentioned in the Dawn John review, and you've probably heard me say endless amount of times, Julianne Moore can do no wrong by me. So, I think we were in The Conjuring, and we got the first full trailer for this.
Mm-hmm.
And I went ahead and came to terms with myself that they changed Julianne Moore's IMDb picture again. I was afraid after watching this trailer that I was going to see, unless I'm forgetting something, but I don't think so, the first ever bad performance by Julianne Moore. That's
The case?
It didn't go that far, but this is the problem. Was the director is Kimberly Pierce, who did Boys Don't Cry.
Mm.
So it's kind of like, obviously this is the woman that got an Oscar-winning performance out of
Hilary Swank?
And a nominated one out of Chloe Sevigny.
Yeah.
Whether people like it or not, it happened.
Yeah, it did.
So this was, when I heard Julianne Moore was cast as the mom, I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. Julianne Moore playing totally, completely insane.
Yes.
And over the top. So I imagined she'd do her own thing with it because Julianne Moore is awesome.
Yeah.
And one of the best actresses ever. Unfortunately, pretty much the whole movie, she's just kind of doing a Piper Laurie impression.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So, and she didn't really bring anything new to it. It's just kind of like she watched Piper Laurie in the original and just kind of took notes. It didn't really, there was nothing really fresh there, which was unfortunate.
I mean, the character, obviously, the way she's played off, you're supposed to hate this character. Obviously, you are. She's just that crazy. You just don't have anything in common with her. You want to see her get hers in the end. I haven't seen the original, obviously, so I didn't know going in what was going to happen. But the whole time I looked at Julianne Moore and this character, I was like, I really freaking hate this character. And I'm supposed to, because as a moviegoer, you're supposed to hate these characters that are thrown out like that. And I did. I was like, oh God, just shut up. Get off screen for 2 seconds.
Another big problem I have with this one. I should probably talk about De Palma's for a second before I say this.
Okay.
Obviously, De Palma is known for, not like... He's known for his trashy style.
Yeah.
Like, he can get a little slick like Mission Impossible, but he's mainly known for movies like this and, Dressed to Kill and Raising Cain and, most recently, The Black Dahlia and Passion.
I like the Black Dahlia.
He does, but it had that
it was grungy looking.
Yeah, it has that cult following trashy feel, not like necessarily trashy because of the movie. He also did a movie called Body Double, which is like the personification of this. And despite his trashy style, like a lot of the shots in the first half of it look like a porn movie. Oh, everybody knows about the opening shower scene in the original movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's like De Palma all over. But despite the trashiness of it, it kind of had sort of an artistic feel to it.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure. Like, if someone were to ask me to elaborate on what I mean by that, I couldn't really. But there's something going on right technically about the original. Especially the scene at the prom where she and Tommy dance together. That's like the way that scene is shot is like... You have to see it. I can't really explain it.
Fair enough.
The point I'm getting at is, while that one had like a trashy / artistic feel to it, it also kind of had like... It basically felt like an adult movie despite being about teens.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the fact that this movie's rating, this movie clearly felt like it was made strictly for teens.
Oh, yeah.
This did not feel like a movie made for adults.
No.
You got the stereotypical chiseled dudes. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say, like, what was his name?
I have cast right behind you. Billy?
No, I'm trying to remember Tommy in the original movie. He was that guy in... William Catt is his name.
Okay.
He and Travolta, I don't know if they were considered those guys today, back then. But they didn't really have that, like... I don't know.
Big man on campus look?
Yeah, they were able to... The way they felt like they had more layers.
Okay.
And these characters are your, they're just...
Your basic horror movie characters, just waiting for them to die.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, obviously, Tommy's an interesting character because he's played up as the, you think he's going to be just another one of the bullying jocks, but he's actually, he and Sue mean well and all that, and Sue's trying to, like, redeem herself after being the one that started throwing tampons at her.
Yeah.
But that's one thing. I don't remember this one. It might have been in there, but I don't remember it. One thing that this one did right was the scene where in the original, when Sue is like, has these plans to, repay Carrie for what happened.
Yeah, pay it forward.
It just kind of happens.
Yeah.
And people just kind of,
Okay, whatever.
But in this one, she's actually confronted by Chris, and Chris starts to bring up, like, other motives as to why Sue could be doing this that are basically only in favor to her.
Yeah.
That wasn't addressed in the original, which I thought was an interesting way to take that. Because it makes you not really know if Sue really wants to do this or if she's just doing it for her own benefit. It's never... I mean, it's pretty on the table, but if you think about it enough, maybe you could...
Like, she means well on the surface, but there could be some ulterior motives behind it.
You could theorize about it.
Yeah, definitely.
For the most part, obviously people wonder, since it's a newer one, and we're in that era now, how the gore is. And the effects in general. The effects are whatever, the floating books and shit are clearly CGI and all
that.
Yeah. I will say, now that it's on the table, that this is the exact same movie as the original. I suppose it is a little more satisfying that, I always found it very anticlimactic the way Chris and Billy die in the original. They see Carrie walking down the street like they do in this one, only they're coming from behind her. and Chris does the run her over and stuff like that. And while they're charging at her, Carrie just turns around and flips their car, and then they explode. It just happens really quickly. In this, they definitely get more of a suffering before they explode.
I like that, actually. I like the way it ended like that for them.
With Billy's face smashes into the steering wheel, and he pretty much Bruce Willis himself to death, the nose through the brain.
Yep.
And then we get this. It actually got a reaction in the theater when, in slow-mo, Chris's face comes through the windshield and gets stuck there. And then she throws the car into the gas station. And
like Denise Richardson's Scary Movie.
During the sign spoof.
Yep.
But apart from that, I couldn't. The only I understand. I've always been that person that says people get really, really up in arms about this. Like, people just go fucking insane. But to be totally honest, I really don't care when a movie's remade.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't matter to me.
You're not one of those people.
It just, whatever. I hold out hope that, okay, maybe they did something different, or even if it's the exact same movie, maybe it'll be interesting to see it through a new perspective with other people in the parts and stuff like that.
Have potential verses for down the line.
Obviously, I'm the person heavily advocating the Spike Lee Old Boy, so...
Yeah, which we'll be talking about very
and I
soon.
really like the original, so whatever. But this one is so much like the original, it did feel pointless. There were a couple of changes. I've spoiled enough, so I won't say this. There is somebody who survives the prom massacre in this one that died in the original, which I wasn't sure how they came to that decision. Well, this character felt a little more shady in the original than they did in this one. There was only a hint of shadiness in her in this one. And I won't say what it is, but there's a development with Sue's character.
Yeah.
It's not, maybe it's something from the book, I don't know, I didn't read the book, I just know the book's ending.
Mm.
But they just, this whole subplot with Sue is addressed in 2 scenes. That's it.
Yep.
There's one scene that gives you a clue to it, and there's one scene at the end that says it. I don't know what we're supposed to do with this information. I don't know what purpose it serves.
Not like there's going to be a second one. Well, there was a second one, but it totally wouldn't have went with anything like that.
You mean the one where Zachary Ty Bryan lost his nuts to a bow and arrow or something?
Yes.
That's all I remember about that one.
So we obviously can't talk about the rage in this video.
To be totally honest, I can't remember if I saw the TV version or not. The TV version went by the book, but I don't even remember if I saw it or not, actually. But regardless, I don't know what this Sue subplot was for. Also, obviously we're in that era.
Mm-hmm.
So not only do they humiliate Carrie by dumping pig's blood on her, but they do, they remake the ending of Angus, and they put the video of her up as well. Just to be with the times, I guess. It's kind of like, when Gus Van Sant remade Psycho, it's like, when Hitchcock made it, it's like, well, we can't show this in a 1960s movie, but clearly, Norman Bates is supposed to be jerking off.
Yeah.
So Gus Van Sant said, well, you know what, I'm remaking this shot for shot in the 90s. Since we're in the 90s now, might as well show him jerking off. It's like, in the 70s, they didn't have, they couldn't record her just to make it even more humiliating, even though everybody already knew about it and saw it. We gotta use technology just because we're in that era.
Let's post the video online.
Yeah, they went through that whole thing.
Yeah, that's what we do all the time, but
They
not
made
like that.
What they do, they made her a Facebook profile too.
Yeah.
And they made her like her favorite movie, Bloodsport, and everything was blood related in her.
Yeah. Favorite drink is a Bloody Mary. This,
So, you know, I don't hate the movie or anything.
No.
I just...
There's no need for it.
There's no point for it to exist, really. Which is really weird when you think about the fact that the woman who made a movie as beloved and, like, well-received as Boys Don't Cry. I don't even know what she did in between these two. I think I remember seeing her name on, like, one more thing, but... Stop Loss. Stop Loss is literally the only thing she did between this and Boys Don't Cry. So, it's almost like she wants to be Catherine Bigelow.
Kind of.
She's genre jumping, but, you know. I think that's pretty much it. They added, you know, unnecessary gore scenes, and there's this whole thing about I don't know why. I guess they needed some shock scene where scissors are near a baby's face or something, but
yeah.
She talks about her mom talks about in the original how she had her and she had initially planned on killing her, but then she didn't. Even though that dialogue word for word is in the movie, the movie actually starts with her giving birth to Carrie. She's just laying in bed by herself with nobody else around, just giving birth to Carrie.
Yeah.
And then she goes to stab her with scissors and changes her mind and all that. And it's like, why? I know you needed a shock scene because that's the era we live in now, but I mean, just... If you're gonna, you know, bring this up word for word in dialogue later, there was really no reason to start the movie that way.
No.
So, I thought they were going to change things up. Obviously, they were going to do the shower scene as revealing as they did in the original, but I was wondering if they were going to change anything. Obviously, they do the video thing, but...
yeah.
I was actually starting to wonder. Obviously, she has her period in the shower.
Yeah.
When we saw them in the pool, and we got like an underwater shot, I was like, oh shit, are they going to do that scene in the fucking pool, though?
Oh, God.
They could have done the scene that way if they wanted to, if they wanted to change things up, but this movie was not about changing things up.
No. Well, I didn't see the original, and again, I know...
Oh, and there's actually... They never really did the thing in the original where Julianne Moore does the Paul Bettany and the Da Vinci Code thing.
Yeah.
Like punishing herself. I think that was just to add more gore when she's like stabbing into her leg. Or...
What is that about? Was that in the... none of that was in the original at all?
I said, I don't know what comes from the book, though, so I don't know what to throw criticism at, but they added. But and the scene of her tearing herself out of the closet, that was just to add more gore. In the original, she just leaves. She didn't have to lock her mom in the closet, but...
You know, I mean, out of all the movies that we were going to go see this weekend, it was actually the one that I was somewhat looking forward to. And, I mean, I was in from the first time I saw the trailer. Well, it's just, I mean, it was... I can't really compare it to the original, because I didn't see the original. But based upon watching it alone, it's okay for what it is. I mean, it's not great. I do see a lot of CG in the movie, and it's very obvious CG as well. And the performances they're okay. I mean, you didn't bring up Judy Greer as the gym teacher. I don't know what she does and who the original casting is for the original one or what she does, but
Betty Buckley.
Okay.
She was the she's notorious now because she was the old woman in The Happening.
Oh God. Hate that movie.
What? No.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay, now you know who you're talking about. But, I mean, it was okay for what it was. I mean, for all of you gore hounds that are out right now, I mean, your best bet is probably to find an independent cinema that's showing something else. Or just watch stuff on the internet.
This doesn't have a lot of gore in it, but they added more than the... I did like the, that is not in the original, I did like the, crushing the kids in the bleachers.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was creative.
That was very Final Destination-esque. That's what reminded me of like an outtake from Final Destination when everything started going crazy at the prom. But I mean, I like Chloe Moretz, I do, and I think she's gonna get better as an actress in the long run. But
And there was something kind of dumb that they did in this one.
Mm.
I go ahead and mention it because it's in the original.
Go ahead.
If it's in the original, I don't consider it a spoiler.
You can't.
Surely almost everybody has seen it. It's a little laughable to me. What happens is, in the original, the bucket falls after it dumps the blood on Carrie, and it hits him over the head and knocks him out.
Yeah.
And we assume he died in the fire. In the new one, the bucket hits Tommy in the head and apparently kills him instantly.
Okay, first off, even a bucket falling from a high distance is not going to kill a person. That's kind of suspending disbelief right there.
Well, it is a movie about a girl with telekinesis. So.
Yeah. Which could be true, could be real, you never know. Who knows? I don't necessarily know what to say about it, so who knows, but for the most part, everything was okay. Is it a movie that I recommend to people? It'll have its audience, as apparently it just did. It did a $700,000 opening night on Thursday night, and it's obviously going to be beaten by Gravity this week. So again, Gravity's going to take the box office this weekend, which is the little movie that could right now, apparently, or the not so little movie that could right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it.
So yeah, it's okay. I mean, if you guys want gore, you're gonna have to go to a cinema that's showing old school horror and old school monster movies at this point.
I assumed a lot of the people in the theater had already seen the original because
Maybe.
I would think people nowadays who have no inkling of what the first one even is probably would be too impatient for it.
Maybe. There was nobody that there was a little bit of like talking back and forth in the beginning of the movie, and then
I think those were just naturally talkative people.
Yeah, we'll encounter them actually in the next review, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So AJ, would you recommend this movie to people?
Just go find the first one because it's literally the exact same movie you're gonna get, just more well done.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it was good for what it was, but I mean, there's so many better movies, and for those of you horror fanatics that are sad that there's not going to be another horror movie until January, sorry, I guess you're just going to have to get used to torrents, Netflix, and whatever to get you through the rest of the months.
A Madea Christmas will be pretty horrifying.
I'm sure it will be. It always is. AJ, you want to move on to our second review of the day?
That would be Escape Plan.
Yep.
AKA, we're just killing time till the Expendables 3. Before we go into it, a little interesting history on it.
Okay.
Apparently, this is the only movie they've been in together that's not an Expendables movie. And they've been planning to do this for years.
That can't be right. There's got to be something they've done together.
Well, they've always had references to each other. Like, there's the scene in Twins where Schwarzenegger's walking down the street and he sees the Rambo poster.
Yeah.
And he, just kind of laughs it off. And then the scene in Last Action Hero when it's
a video store.
When Stallone's in Terminator 2.
Yeah, he's great.
And then there's the scene in Demolition Man where Sandra Bullock talks about the Schwarzenegger Presidential Library.
That's funny because that may actually happen in real life, folks.
But they've never actually been in each other's movies until The Expendables. This is the first one for real.
Okay.
Because they've been planning to do it since the 80s, but they never really found one that clicked. They were originally going to be the two in Face Off, and it was going to be more of a sci-fi movie.
For the 80s, that might have worked, but I mean, if you would have put it out in the 90s or after that, it would not have worked at all.
But apparently, once the certain producers or directors left, and it became less and less sci-fi, that's when Travolta and Cage came in. Further postponed them working together. So this is finally what they settled on. Which, it's not bad at all. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you would think this wouldn't necessarily be the kind of movie you'd be in for that's basically over 20 years in the making.
No. It's a letdown in that aspect. Considering they've been wanting to work together for so long. It's like the Simpsons movie. A lot of people were let down by that because it took too long to make.
If I had to guess, it would be they finally got impatient, and it was more like this script will do. because well, obviously I read the script before going in, and it was like it was. The scenes are exactly the same, and it plays out exactly the same. It's just the characters are changed. Some of the characters are the same, but like the Schwarzenegger character was originally more of like a comedy sidekick.
Ooh.
And like a smaller guy.
That would not work in this movie. Not this version, at least.
So, if they went to the trouble of changing it like that, I guess they saw something in this that they thought was good enough to be there. I like the face-off idea more because it would have been interesting to see them go against each other.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, Stallone and Schwarzenegger versus Jesus.
Yes.
It's a whole other thing.
Exactly.
I'm of course referring to the fact that Jim Caviezel played Jesus in Passion of the Christ.
Yep.
Which is worth noting, Mel Gibson is the villain in Expendables 3, so there's that.
It's all around, folks. It's all there. You just have to do some research. Or open your eyes in this case.
Yeah, so anyway, it's an interesting concept, though. Stallone is this dude. It's basically, something happened in his past that makes him, obsessed with the idea of keeping prisoners locked up.
Yep.
So his job is he puts himself in prisons incognito. Kind of like Sean Archer in Face Off.
Yep.
This prison is a lot like the prison in Face Off. You can kind of sense...
Yeah, it is, actually.
So we have, instead of John Carroll Lynch, we have Vinnie Jones. But we'll get to that in a second.
That's interesting.
But he gets locked up in prisons and then breaks out in order to
test for security.
Yeah. Trouble is somebody doesn't like him.
Yep.
And gets him locked up in the wrong prison, and the warden is Jim Caviezel.
Yeah.
And the problem with this is Jim Caviezel has all of Stallone's old reports from all the other prisons, and has used them as like one gigantic blueprint to make an unbreakable prison. I don't think I should spoil exactly how isolated this prison is.
We'll just say it's extremely isolated.
It's going to take a lot more than just breaking out of the prison to get away.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
So, I'm sure they can use context clues by now.
Yeah.
I won't say it anyway.
And it's not in the trailer either, so it's a actual reveal in an action movie that is not in the trailer.
It's about halfway through, though. It's not like a big payoff at the end or anything.
No, it's a big payoff in the middle.
This movie, now I don't know, I was horrible at science. I don't recall a test I didn't fail in science.
I can't do math, nice to meet you.
But if I had to guess, I'd say this movie requires a shitload of suspension of disbelief, despite the fact that they play everything that Stallone does as a very highly calculated science. I don't imagine a lot of this stuff would work the way.
I couldn't imagine young Sly with a Bunsen burner trying to see what liquid doesn't fit into the other one.
Well, the line wasn't in the actual movie, but in the script, he's talking about how to break out of the isolation, the hot box.
Yeah.
And when who became Schwarzenegger's character just kind of looks at him, his response is simply, "I read a lot," and that's the only way they explain it. I know it's a Schwarzenegger-Stallone movie, so you don't necessarily have to explain the science of it, because the normal people who love these movies don't give a shit.
Science! Get down!
Mr. White, yeah, science! So, that's Jesse Pinkman.
Second time we've mentioned the words white in this review.
Wire.
HBO television program, The Wire.
So, this has nothing to do with the movie itself, but I just need to bring this up.
Okay.
It was widely... I mean, it's true. As much as I love the guy, it's true. It was widely talked about that in The Last Stand, Schwarzenegger looked like shit.
Yes.
But I don't know exactly what... It wasn't all the time, but every now and then throughout the movie, that goatee that he's sporting takes like 10 years off of him.
Yeah.
Like every now and then he actually looks like Jingle All the Way Schwarzenegger.
Oh, God.
Just with a goatee. That's actually helping him out. He was on Kelly and Michael the other morning. Kelly and Michael was on the TV while I was getting my haircut the other day, and Schwarzenegger was on there.
I know how that works. When I get my haircut, the Today Show's usually on the television.
And he still got the facial hair, so I think he realizes it takes about 10 years off of it.
But if you think about it, for his character in The Last Stand, since I know you love that movie so much,
Number 5.
I know it still is, and it's not going to go anywhere either. I can almost guarantee that. No, honestly, though, his character in that movie, he's pretty much been through everything, and he's kind of trying to settle down, and he's got that weathered look for that reason, so it makes sense for The Last Stand for him to look like that. In this movie, not so much.
How you doing, Sheriff?
Old.
I'll talk about the guards, because they're interesting.
Okay.
The guards are these guys that are dressed like, guards in a samurai movie.
Aren't they dressed like the dancers in Step Up?
And they have the blank black masks. And the main guard is Benny Jones.
Yes.
He's like the loose cannon guard that Caviezel has to keep under control. Because that's what Benny Jones does. He's basically playing Bullet Tony as a prison guard.
That I'd like to watch.
You can call me Susan for all I give a fuck. There was a scene that kind of bothered me. And I don't know, just, I'm just kind of, nitpicking at certain scenes just because it's just the Stallone Schwarzenegger action movie way of not everything has to make sense. But
Yeah.
I just couldn't help but think they do all these elaborate schemes and they have to keep avoiding the guards and they have to keep whispering to make sure the guards don't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is there's this particular moment where clearly the guards can hear everything despite the fact that their masks cover their head. Whatever. They're trying to get the one guy, the guy from Iron Man, to help them.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like saying, like, why should I help you? And he says, because if you help me, I can get you out of here. He says that line, if you help me, I can get you out of here, very audibly. And they're literally, they're like this far away from a guard. And that's never addressed.
He's got a Walkman.
I've...
He's listening to NPR on his, on earbuds or something.
Mm-hmm. And, but, apart from, little small problems like that, the far-fetched science, it's probably supposed to be that way, because, movies like The Last Stand and Bullet to the Head, like that, which were great. Yeah, this isn't, obviously The Last Stand is one of the best movies of the year, and Bullet to the Head is really great. This doesn't measure up to their individual works from this year,
No.
but, it's fine by itself. It's got, I actually like the backstory with Stallone as to why he does this, because it actually does come together and make sense.
Yeah.
And, obviously it's got, a lot of comedy stuff. I particularly like it's a scene towards the end where, they need, basically he needs a pair of glasses. And Schwarzenegger says, oh, don't worry, there's that guy. And you just see a guy with glasses sitting at the back of the cafeteria just eating by himself, minding his own business. And then in the next scene, Stallone just has the glasses, and nothing's explained. And then in the background of the next scene, we see that same guy, only he doesn't have his glasses and he has a gigantic black eye.
That's great.
This movie has quite the supporting cast.
Yeah.
But, let's see, there's D'Onofrio, who's basically the guy that basically sets up Stallone, which places he's going.
He reminds me of Kevin Dunn in this movie.
And I was a little worried because Vincent D'Onofrio is this insanely great actor, but he hasn't had a good part since maybe Happy Accidents in 2001. in Sinister. Sinister's a good movie, but he has like 2 scenes on a computer monitor.
He showed up, shot a video of him on a computer monitor, and that's what got into the film.
He shot that movie at home.
He did.
Himself.
You can see pictures of his family in the background. There's Grandma Hazel's right on the left-hand side of the screen.
Granddad D'Onofrio on the other side. But yeah, his at first he seems like kind of a exposition character, but he does have, like, this is a good part. I mean, it's not like a great part that's like worthy of him, but considering the parts he's been getting,
it's better. It's going in the right direction.
Yeah, this character's got some flair to him, and of course he's doing that. You always have to have, like, in movies like this, character development is very, very thin usually.
Yeah, because the crowd's not paying attention. Normally.
And so basically the farthest you get of character development is something they do, like, well, to use this example, D'Onofrio's character is constantly using hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
That's like, the extent of his backstory. It's kind of like the joke you see on the internet of, when you're talking about the Avengers and how all the characters are, like, really well fleshed out, and you talk about how, you don't normally see this in superhero movies, all the characters have really, are 3-dimensional and stuff like that. Mm. But then somebody said Nick Fury's backstory starts and ends with eye patch.
He even did that on the Phineas and Ferb Mission Marvel. That was actually referenced on that.
No, it's not bad. It's actually not as much of an action movie as people are probably expecting.
No, it's not.
Just like, people are going to get a double dose of that. Carrie's not the gore movie people will think it is, even though it's there. Just like, there's plenty of action in Escape Plan, don't get the wrong idea. But,
no.
It's mostly a prison movie.
Yeah.
But not, I mean, obviously not like Shawshank or anything, but...
It's not Oz either.
I'd say it's more of they're about an equal balance by the end of it, but I'd say it's almost more of a prison movie than an action movie.
I'd say so.
So, yeah, it's fine.
I saw him immediately, and I want to know what wonderful drunken stupor did they drag Sam Neill out of?
Yeah, I don't know what that was about.
Looking like Robert Wagner down to everything. Every detail looked like Robert Wagner. I was like, is that Sam Neill?
Sam Neill plays the prison's doctor, who pretty much... He knows the prison is a bad place, but he pretty much just does it. And Stallone tries to constantly use that to get his help.
Yeah.
You have Amy Ryan, who is his partner. Let me just mention this.
Bring the joke up, please.
I don't know why this would happen. I don't know why this would happen. I don't know if it was it can't be a coincidence.
There's no way. But I want to know what
they were
thinking.
For some reason, Amy Ryan's character name is Abigail, and Stallone's character name is Breslin.
Yeah.
Maybe the director's a big fan. He's the director of 1408, which is totally different from this.
Which is kind of interesting, I think, the way you bring up 1408.
Yeah, and 50 Cent is in it. But 50 Cent's just the tech guy that's just there that, hits computer keys and talks. And tries to be funny.
He's trying to be Don Cheadle from Ocean's 11.
Basher Thar.
Yes. That's pretty much your cast right
Yeah,
here.
it's good. This might sound weird, but Escape Plan is probably the movie from this week that I would recommend over the others.
Interesting.
So, if that tells you anything. But the thing is you're not so much into them. I like anything Stallone and Schwarzenegger do for the rest of their lives, however much longer that may be. I'm pretty much going to love on principle.
Stallone's looking better, though, honestly.
Just because that's the way I feel about their movie. I mean, don't get the wrong idea. There are some really, really shitty Schwarzenegger movies from the past, and there's some really extra shitty Stallone movies from the past.
Very true.
But right now, they're pretty much... I mean, I don't like the first Expendables very much.
I'm not a big fan of the Expendables, period.
The Expendables 2, followed by The Last Stand, followed by Bullet to the Head, followed by this is a pretty good streak. And I think if they just keep in tone with this, I think it's... The Last Stand was just like a huge step up for the action genre.
I don't even know how I liked that movie so much, but I did. I really did like that. I love The Last Stand. Not as much as you did, but I did enjoy the movie. I will say it's not a review unless we bring up random occurrences from what happens while we're watching these films.
Yeah, I was pretty sure we were going to
witness a soccer hooligan fight.
It kind of almost felt like the scene in Adventures in Babysitting when they're accidentally in the middle of a gang fight.
Yeah.
I didn't hear "Don't fuck with the Lords of Hell," but I did hear a loud "fuck you" in the hallway when they went out there.
I did too. I actually heard that too. And it's just like, it was constant. It wasn't just talking, it was constant talking.
And what was really funny was...
everyone is completely oblivious to it, apparently.
They all came back in and sat down. There was like 8 of them all together.
Yeah.
And apparently they were fighting outside, but I didn't hear about what. It was probably something stupid.
And they got in their truck on the way out and everything was good.
But no, then they all came back in. And they all had their phones out too. I don't know if they were all texting each other, and they were starting fights with each other via text in the middle of it. But about an hour into the movie, everything was quiet and everything was fine. I was like, oh, must have blown over.
Yeah.
But then, right in the middle of the movie, one of them just yells something at the person beside them. And they started all over again.
They wouldn't stop talking. I don't think there was one point in the movie one of them wasn't talking.
They weren't as annoying as the people beside me in Kick-Ass 2.
They were pretty bad. And then it was funny because the people that were at the bottom of the theater they seemed either A, completely oblivious, or B, they were just knew how to block it out.
I don't know how the sound works in there, but for some reason, you can't really hear much in the back if you're towards the front.
That's true. I'm sure you could have heard him yell.
Probably. Well, the thing was we were right beside them, so it probably wasn't as loud to them as it was to us. So.
Yeah, they probably could block it out better, too, and we couldn't.
And since they were towards the front, they couldn't see the fucking phones on constantly, so...
They were just like...
They kept getting up and leaving, too. Sometimes one at a time, sometimes 3 at a time.
Did I hear English and Spanish at one point? I'm pretty positive I did.
I didn't hear any Spanish, but if I did, that would have freaked me out.
I thought I did. I thought I heard a different language of some sort other than English.
If people are fighting in another language, I'm getting the fuck out.
You need to run.
There was I was going by the Super China buffet not that long ago.
Okay.
And a dude appeared to be getting fired. It was an older manager-looking guy and a younger employee-looking guy. And this manager was fucking pissed off and screaming in Chinese at this guy.
Oh boy.
And I was really hoping to go the other direction.
Like, we need to get out of here, like, immediately.
So, I hope that doesn't sound racist for me to say if I hear fighting in another language, I am, like, 20 times more afraid than I normally would.
Oh, you mean like the people that see somebody of another race on a plane, they're like, we need to get out of here. We need to plan our escape plan. I didn't mean to do that, but still.
Yeah, it's like, no, this conversation's done. I'm not saying anything racist online.
You already have a couple of times. You won't do any more. Alright, let's talk about some other movies now. Let's talk about The Fifth Estate.
I wasn't expecting to see this week.
Neither was I. And I told you that we were getting it, and I'm sure you probably were like, that's bizarre. Because I was.
I saw the documentary We Still Secrets that came out earlier this year, and it was fine, but I don't really know much about this. I don't get involved in like the news and politics and shit, so most movies like this are totally lost on me, so I don't know how... You can take this review for whatever you think, but this is just what I'm saying from a point of view where I didn't really know what the fuck anybody was talking about, really.
So this is going to come off really jumbled.
Yeah, but I'll do my best. I'll just judge it as a movie. Obviously it's like The Social Network. There are 2 points of view you can take.
Yep.
There's Julian Assange, who is Cumberbatch, and there is Daniel Berg, who is Daniel Bruhl, which is way too close.
Yeah, don't lie.
And Daniel Bruhl is basically his Eduardo Saffron.
Yep.
And Assange was pissed because the movie script is based off Berg's book, which makes Assange the villain.
Big time.
I don't know who's a villain and who's not in this, because I don't know...
You don't know the real story. But no one knows the real story, that's the thing.
oh, this is politics, so there will be people who are under the impression they know their side of the story.
Both sides.
But
Right.
as somebody who's just in the middle of all this, I had to get up and go to the bathroom twice to splash cold water on my face. Because, no, I'm being serious.
I didn't know why you left. I thought you might have been getting a call or something.
Because I needed to try to stay awake.
Oh my god. I should probably do that more often. That's actually not a bad idea.
It's basically, it's WikiLeaks is the social network.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you always have those movies that, like, starting a website always turns into a rivalry.
Of course.
There's a great documentary called Startup.com. It's the same thing. But basically, I can't even really tell you what the plot is. It's the social network. A website is started and it drives two friends into being enemies. That's that. From a non-political point of view. We'll start with the opening. The opening is this really weird moment where I said, are we in the right movie?
Oh boy.
Because the opening credits start and we're in like ancient times.
Yeah, I thought that was very strange.
Apparently it's like a history of the media montage. Like it starts with, like when you like stamp print and shit.
It's like Spaceship Earth.
And then
it's exactly how Spaceship Earth works.
Then it goes through, you see, obviously when you're doing media history, you gotta show fucking Cronkite talking about Kennedy's death.
Yep.
And then we get to present day media. And that's the opening credits.
The end of Newsweek and the end of print media, and now everything's online.
Well, it's also noting that this director has an interesting filmography. He had great acclaim because he won an Oscar for writing Gods and Monsters, which he also directed.
Mm.
Then he did Kinsey, then he did Dreamgirls. Great filmography.
And then
he did the last two Twilight movies.
Yep.
We're talking about Bill Condon, obviously I should put that name on him.
Yeah,
but now he's done this, which is another true story, like Gods and Monsters, Kinsey, and Dreamgirls. No, Dreamgirls was fake. Or was it? No.
No,
yes,
it was...
Yes, Dreamgirls is real.
Yeah.
Yes, because, yes. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Dreamgirls is real. We're gonna stick with that. I'm pretty sure Thunder Early was real. That's what's projecting in my mind to say that. But, when this started, here's the thing. I'm sorry to be the guy that keeps throwing out a better movie. That keeps throwing a better movie at it, but,
Dreamgirls is not real.
Is it not?
James Thunder Early is not a real person. He's based upon James Brown, though.
Okay, Dreamgirls is fake. Fine. Kinsey and Gods and Monsters are true stories, though. They're biographies on Kinsey and James Whale, so there's that.
It's based on a Broadway play.
Alright.
Obviously, you know that.
Anyway, and then we go into this weird flashback. Julian Assange in this particular moment is basically the Joker.
Yeah?
Because he tells this weird story from his childhood that like traumatized him. And it's this really serious scene where he's talking to Daniel Grohl about it. And then he just, after he tells of this traumatic experience, he just looks and says, why do you think my hair is white? And then later on, there's a party scene, and he's telling a whole different story, and then he says, why do you think my hair is white? It's like, he's basically Heath Ledger's Joker about the white hair.
Oh, wow.
Which we learn at the end is a complete word.
Yeah, complete word.
Okay, talking about the social network now. Like I said, I hate to be that guy. I'm just talking about how great the social network is and how much of this is not. But
it's got a versus coming soon.
What happened is the social network is like this. They take this story about the making of Facebook and they made it this non-stop movie that's just got memorable scene after memorable scene just for 2 straight hours.
Yes. Awesome.
And it's just the social network is just perfection.
Indeed it is.
The Fifth Estate felt extremely minor, and as much as I like this movie, I really, really like this movie. It's gonna sound like I'm bashing it when I say this. For some reason, I was getting a real State of Play vibe from the Fifth Estate.
Oh, I saw that too.
From the Fifth Estate. It had that generic espionage thriller feel.
But if you want to talk about being true to the subject matter, it came off more like the Jobs movie that just came out versus the Jobs movie that's going to come out.
The Sorkin one.
The Sorkin one, yeah, exactly.
But it's like, you gotta give them a little credit because they do try to... The Condon made it like... It's somewhat well made. It does the thing where it's very, very flashy to try to hide the fact that it's...
There's nothing going on.
What's happening is not very cinematic.
No.
So they have to liven it up with camera tricks and...
Pounding soundtrack.
Man, every time they go to a different location, it like flashes all over the place. Trouble is this movie's problem is how completely forgettable it is. Like, I was just literally telling you, I wonder if I'll remember enough about it to do this review. I guarantee, okay, I've seen almost 7,000 movies in my life.
God. You have a number now.
There's a very, very, very select few, just like maybe 10 of like
7,000?
Where I don't remember a single thing about it. I couldn't tell you a single frame. I have a really bad feeling in about maybe a month's time this might be one of those. To where I can't even tell you one scene. Because absolutely nothing about it whatsoever is memorable. The most memorable scene comes at the very end, where, I'm going to assume this was after the open letter controversy, where Cumberbatch, as Assange, talks about a movie being made about this situation and how mediocre it would be.
It's like the end of Inside Job. That's what it comes off as.
There's a lot of supporting actors that are totally wasted. We have... David Thewlis has a couple of meaty scenes. But then we have... Laura Linney has one good scene towards the end. Then we have, like, Anthony Mackie and Stanley Tucci and...
Peter Capaldi from In the Loop.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome when he showed up.
But they don't do anything.
Nope. Nothing at all.
Cumberbatch and Daniel Bruhl obviously get the lion's share of good scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's... I mean, they're both really, really great actors that are great in the movie, but they just don't really have much to do.
Almost no one has anything to do in this movie.
I mean, you would think, like... It's kind of like Ashton Kutcher's performance in Jobs, really. Not the performance, but the way the character's written. I worded that totally wrong. But Benedict Cumberbatch, Ashton Kutcher. Ashton Kutcher's like at the core of the earth, and Benedict Cumberbatch is like up here as far as acting quality, if you're measuring them.
He's riding the sun.
You would think... I mean, I know, if you do a true story, it might come off like Oscar baiting.
Yeah, of course.
If you, and try hard if you do that, but to be totally honest, with a movie about Julian Assange or a movie about Steve Jobs, the actors playing these parts really should have had more powerful scenes written for them.
I agree with that. Sorkin's movie, I think, will be really heavy on the dramatics.
Because here's the thing. A lot of people don't like speechifying because it's done to death and it's just what it is. It's speeches. Nobody likes speeches. But, seriously, Assange has, 2 speech scenes in the Fifth Estate?
Mm-hmm.
Cumberbatch, in this part, needed a big, awesome speech scene to just wipe the floor with everything around him.
Yeah, of course.
But that scene never really happened.
Nope.
There's going to be a lot of those in The Wolf of Wall Street if they don't cut it down too much, which I think will be awesome. Yeah, honestly, never. I mean, I know it sounds boring to just talk about on the surface, but never underestimate an awesome speech scene, especially if you have an actor of like Cumberbatch quality to do it.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah,
That's a big one right there.
I literally, if Lincoln was just, he had two. I mean, people who were bored with Lincoln will probably tell you that's all the movie was, but honestly, I could have used more Lincoln speeches in Lincoln just because of how Day-Lewis could deliver them. And don't get the wrong idea from this review. I'm not one of those people that, is calling Cumberbatch one of the best actors of all time just because he's a thing now. But he's really got, something that's going to take him far away in this business, which brings me to the open letter controversy, where Julian Assange basically told him to stop acting. But it was a little more, if you read the actual letter, it was more polite than the media would want to make it out to be.
Of course, they want to put their own spin on it.
Both of them were civil with each other, and both of them still, think highly of each other. So
like Kevin Smith versus Tim Burton.
So it wasn't so much that he thinks Cumberbatch should quit acting because he's bitter. He thinks Cumberbatch is he called him a hired gun by the industry to basically play this part in this story that he is saying is totally fictional. So
he doesn't need to lie in order to get his point across.
But like I said, I don't pay attention to any of this, so I have no idea. I have no opinion whatsoever on what might be true and what might not be. So that pretty much brings this review to an abrupt stop. Do you have anything to add?
Well, yeah, I saw that State of Play vibe. I got that completely.
I know you slept a lot, but
I did, but God, it's not the fault of the performers or the cast or the story or anything. It's just, and I was a journalism major in high school myself, so I mean, if I would have went on to college, I would have probably went into journalism. But I know how competitive that field is, and I wasn't going to get a job unless I was like the greatest person in the world, and obviously I wasn't. So when it comes down to it, that's a very hard field to get into. But when it all boils down to is this, I know a little bit more about journalism and how you use all sorts of spins to make things out to be better than they actually are, and to pretty much save your own ass if you're about ready to go under, and anything that sells a paper is going to sell, regardless if it's true or not. As long as you have a viable source, or even not a viable source, you can still print something and not have to print a retraction. Well, when it comes down to it, this movie, I mean, it started off fine. It's just a lot of way through it just kind of lost me. It wasn't a bad thing, it just kind of lost me. It's like I wasn't disinterested in it, it was just the fact that I didn't care anymore.
it was just another one of those ones.
It's just kind of something that, why am I watching this?
I think what brings that in is the movies kind of, especially if they're being played off as like thrillers, movies kind of have this gradual rising, and then they like peak and become their most, thrilling, and then they settle for an ending. This movie didn't really peak or dive. It was just here the whole time.
It's a straight roller coaster track with no loops, no corkscrews, nothing. It's just what you see is what you get, and there is nothing behind it. It's very bland. I guess the best way to put it for me, it's bland. No fault of the actors involved. I enjoyed the performances, but
like I said, I don't really know anything about this story.
Neither do I, really.
So I can't really suggest how you liven it up. But it's like I was saying, if I remember correctly, pretty much everything covered in We Still Secrets is in the ending text right for the credits of this movie.
So if you would take you would have covered that movie and made it, expand on it, this would have been a better film.
If they had taken the facts from We Still Secrets and made a movie out of those, it might have been more interesting, but the whole focusing on the Zuckerberg-Savin relationship, if you will.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Not so much.
Didn't really work. It's fun time, I think.
Yeah, okay. We're going into indie territory now.
Yeah, we are.
Our next movie is called In a World, which was written and directed by and stars Lake Bell.
Yep.
And it got a lot of positive word at Sundance. It was in competition there. And the plot is very interesting because it's something we haven't seen touched on before.
No, we really haven't.
It's basically a movie about getting the job as the trailer guy.
Yep.
Lake Bell's dad, who, I forget his real name, but he played Cy Abelman in A Serious Man.
Did?
Yeah.
I knew him from something.
And he...
Fred Melamed.
He is basically like this, what is he exactly?
He is a famous voiceover artist.
Yeah, and he's literally obsessed with like the quality of people. If you call him, he will like get on your case if your voice isn't perfect.
Your
like
intonation has to your tones has to be absolutely perfect. Your pitch has to be perfect.
And of course, Lake Bell is kind of in that same business, and she's always in his shadow.
Yep.
And then there's Ken Marino, who is another like voiceover guy who's basically following in the footsteps of the real non-fictional guy, the guy that just died. What was his name?
Don LaFontaine.
Yeah. So word gets out that there is going to be. Well, it's also worth noting that the thing really driving Lake Bell is the fact that you don't really have women narrating trailers.
No, you really don't.
The only one really of any that people really know is when Melissa Disney did the voiceover for the Gone 60 Seconds trailer.
Yep.
That was like the one moment where people like. That's the only thing Gone 60 Seconds is worth, really. Is its trailer was narrated by a woman, and that was like landmark at the time.
Of course.
And it pretty much hasn't happened since.
Yeah.
So, it turns out that there's going to be a gigantic, epic franchise movie, kind of like The Hunger Games.
Yeah.
And kind of like The Hunger Games meets Lawrence of Arabia is the way they build it up. It's going to be this massive, massive billion-dollar movie.
And it's based off books and everything, too, so...
And the trailer narration is written. They just need a voice. And because this movie is going to be so big, whoever narrates this trailer is basically going to be the next thing.
They get to say the iconic words in a world. And that's something that is unheard of after his passing.
And we have Lake Bell's character and her dad and Kim Marino all vying for this spot.
Correct.
And that's the plot.
That's it.
Which is very, very interesting.
Very much so.
But, well, something went wrong in Lake Bell's script. Okay, where do I fucking start? Okay, this is another one where I was reading the script before I saw it. But obviously, you know, when it's a writer-director, you know the script's not going to change
Yeah, of
in the
course.
finished product most of the time.
Did it change at all?
No.
Okay.
There was an actual scene where her character meets Melissa Disney at a bar.
That's awesome.
But apparently it was cut.
That's
Melissa Disney is still listed on the IMDb page, but apparently that scene got cut.
She has a new name.
Yeah, they gave her like a cover-up name, even though she's playing herself.
Yeah.
Like she was starting to recite the lines from the Gone 60 Seconds trailer. Like how long it took you to get your popcorn, and how long it took you to buy your ticket, and it only took them 60 seconds to steal your car, or something like that.
I've never seen the trailer, so I don't know.
While I was reading that, I tracked it down on YouTube, and that's exactly the way it plays out.
That's brilliant.
Like her voice. But it's this comedy, and Lake Bell is basically trying so horribly, horribly badly to be Diablo Cody, and it just sounds desperate and off, and it's very off-putting. Like, oh god. Well, as you were bringing up, you compared it to this for some reason. No, this movie is not as bad as Frances Ha, of course.
Well, I like Frances Ha, as everyone on this channel knows.
But there's just something that really bothers me about this movie, and I don't It's really hard to put my finger on exactly what it is, but...
Does movie patrons around you, does that help your enjoyment or not enjoying of a movie?
It might. I don't... It depends.
Because this is the second time we've been in that exact same theater. We've dealt with the same exact situation, but a completely different area. Plus, probably also helps that we were on the far right-hand side of the auditorium, and we had to see it at an angle.
I don't think that... The angle and the people in there had nothing to do with how the fucking thing was written.
It wasn't good at all.
Like you have, I don't want to say the dialogue. I obviously had to tell you to know, so you know why I'm pissed off.
Okay.
We have seen, okay, her dad's an older guy. He's probably, what, in his late 50s?
I'd say at least. Probably.
Sorry, Mr. Melamed, if you're younger than that, but, he looks like he might be in, like, his late 50s.
He looks like a lost member of the Reiner family.
It's one of those scripts where, Lake Bell has this quirky quality where she quotes Star Wars in a Russian accent. And when she does it, her dad laughs and says, "That is so random." It's that kind of dialogue.
Yeah.
And she has these moments where, she's one of those characters where, like, do you ever, I guess I'm talking directly to the people who are watching this.
Of course you are.
You ever hang out with pretentious college kids that think they know all and think that they're, like, they have a certain superiority to everybody around them?
Hipsters? Wannabe hipsters, that's a better one.
Pretty much. Wannabe cynics and wannabe hipsters. They're the worst.
Oscar.
That's the way Lake Bell's character comes off. And the problem, what bugs me about this is, obviously it's one of those cases of, since she wrote the script, it's hard to tell whether or not I'm attacking her personally by bringing this up, or if it's the character.
Yeah.
I don't know if she wrote the character this way, or... In most cases, if you're a writer-director and you write a part specifically for yourself, chances are you're a lot like that character.
Yeah, good chance.
So, I'm gonna guess. I don't like to make things personal, but she wrote the thing and obviously wanted to play this part. It's abundantly clear when you watch this character, nobody loves Lake Bell's dialogue and writing more than Lake Bell does.
Very true.
And I know as a writer you're supposed to, you know, it's a good thing to love what you write because it's... I mean, you want to be in that area between... You want to be better than confident, but not arrogant.
Got it.
But this character is just so horribly unlikable.
Yeah.
She tries too hard to do the quirky thing, and she does the making fun of, you know, teenage girls with the, you know, robotic mouse voices.
Mm-hmm.
And we're supposed to, you know, laugh hysterically when she makes fun of them and makes fun of their voices. And she's making fun of her stepmom for something, and it's like, something about doing an accent unironically. Whenever I hear a complaint about something happening unironically, I just think a college kid I'd like to punch in the face.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because no person talks about... I don't know, fuck it. There's cameos. Somebody dug Gina Davis out of a cave, and she has one scene. Jeff Garlin and Cameron Diaz play themselves, and Eva Longoria. Eva Longoria is actually the funniest she's ever been, playing herself in one scene. At the beginning, she's like coaching her.
Yeah.
There's this totally pointless subplot involving her sister and Rob Corddry, who plays her husband. And there's like a somewhat adultery thing going on. It's not really adultery, but it's played off that way. About this Scottish guy or something that's in the hotel. What the fuck was that doing in there?
I don't know why it was there. You like to throw out the word pad the runtime all the time, so I mean, I think that might be the case in this
Right.
more than ever in this time.
I guess we needed character development for everybody, but there's a time and place for character development.
This wasn't it.
That just... I don't know. It's got a really, really fresh and original idea, but the trouble is Lake Bell thinks everything she's done here is fresh and original.
That's
Just
the problem.
Just the concept is. Sorry. There's also Dimitri Martin, who is totally fucking unbearable in everything.
I like Dimitri Martin overall.
And he's playing the pathetic, lovesick puppy dog piece of shit in all these fucking quirky movies where the guy wants the girl but he can't show it. You got Nick Offerman without facial hair. It's really weird looking.
No facial hair, no glasses, 500 o'clock shadow. He looks really strange.
Yeah, I don't like this movie.
Yeah, that's clear.
What, do you have anything?
I know everybody in the entire theater marked out when Tig Notaro shows up.
Who's that?
She's the girl that kind of, well, to me she looks like Katie Lang. She kind of has the Pat vibe going on. That's what I think that's how you mentioned it to me in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this goes back to my love for the state. I think Ken Marino's hilarious. He's not good in this part.
You didn't think so?
Well, let me rephrase that.
He's the best person in the movie.
He's the only person. Okay, he's not good in this part because he makes everybody else look bad. So if they wanted someone else to be the focal point of this movie, and that's obviously what they want, Lake Bell wants herself to be the focal point of this movie, she failed miserably because he is the only good part of this entire film. And the fleeting moments with Offerman, because Offerman's great. And you're getting me to realize that. But, I mean, I love the state, obviously. I like Marino, and I liked him in We're the Millers. I think that's what I got, right? Did I get it mixed up again?
Oh, he's in Where the Millers, but it's for like a second. Maybe it's Wanderlust.
I liked him in We're the Millers. I love him in Wanderlust. David Wayne did Wanderlust, and it's funny, we're going to talk about David Wayne in a few minutes. He's not in this movie.
Marino also co-wrote Wanderlust.
Exactly. And I really like his character in this movie a lot, and like I said, I'm a big State fan, so that's where it comes from in there. I like Dimitri Martin. I do. I like his comedy. It's kind of quirky, I get that. If you don't like that, obviously it's not up your alley at all. But basically, it's just, he comes off kind of wasted in this role. Rob Corddry, once again, I bring up the State. I really like Lennon and Grant. I love the State. I love Reno 911. But Hell Baby was a massive fail. And Corddry's in Hell Baby. And he plays kind of the same character he did in Hell Baby in this one. Somewhat. Not the same exact situations, but there was a lot of the same type of dialogue. And, you know, you have to like Lake Bell or not like Lake Bell in order to, like, dig her performance in this movie. She comes off very much like Diablo Cody writing. I totally agree with that. And the whole time I thought she was kind of a mixture between Sandra Bullock from the 80s and Brooke Shields. Just in look, that's how she looked to me. And it's just kind of like, it tried too hard in the wrong way. Sometimes a try hard can actually work, but other times it fails miserably. This movie does fail miserably. I do like the fact that the story is set up perfectly. I like the story about Don LaFontaine and how trying to find a new person to do the inner world. That makes sense. That's an awesome idea for a movie. This was not the movie to make. Someone else probably could have taken this script and made it a lot better.
I mean, the idea.
Yes. Take the idea of this story and made it a lot better.
Alright. It's time for our last movie.
The only movie this week that I actually enjoyed on this review.
Our last movie is Thanks for Sharing, which was at TIFF last year and just now got out. It is the story of, to put it bluntly, Mark Ruffalo, Tim Robbins, and Josh Gad in rehab for sex addiction. And how they handle their lives otherwise.
So what happened off camera after Michael Fassbender did Shame?
Ruffalo has not done anything for 5 years. The thing is you can do it, you just have to be in a relationship with that person.
Yeah, exactly.
It can't be a one-night stand or a friends with benefits or by yourself.
This kind of comes off like Color of Night, too, a little bit.
I didn't really get that vibe.
Just a little bit, not much. The setup for it.
It's worth noting the guy that wrote and directed it is the guy that co-wrote The Kids Are Alright with Lisa Cholodenko. And it's also worth noting, I'm just going to throw this out there. It's a weird observation, but I'm just going to throw it out there. It makes perfect sense that Ruffalo is in this movie because there are so many movies where Mark Ruffalo fucks somebody.
Yes, this is true.
In the Cut comes to mind immediately.
Yep.
Kids Are Alright.
Mm-hmm.
Eternal Sunshine with Kirsten Dunst.
Yep.
We Don't Live Here Anymore. He and Naomi Watts. The dude just cannot stop fucking.
Unless he's involved in an Avengers movie.
Shit.
You don't know what Bruce Banner does off camera.
He can't.
Oh, that's true. Good point. Yeah.
Imagine.
I don't want to imagine. That's bad. Moving on.
Because remember in the Norton movie that almost happened with Liv Tyler.
That's right. Oh god, it's true.
Okay, anyway. So yeah, I found this movie totally appropriate cast in that regard. I'm sure there's plenty I'm missing too. And then there's Tim Robbins, and he, I'll get to Tim Robbins in a second. Bruce Banner steals Pepper Potts away from Tony Stark.
Yeah.
No, he meets Gwyneth in the park, at a party, and then they meet up again at the park, and they start to hang out, and they develop a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get to that in a second, after I lay this out. The second plot is Tim Robbins, who is we don't really see him with his problem, thankfully, because Tim Robbins is getting old, and he already did full-frontal nudity in The Player. That's bad enough.
That was many, many moons ago, too, so God knows it's probably worse by now.
Too much male nudity's been brought up already.
No lie. Stop it.
Thankfully, there's none in the movie, though.
No, it's not. Kind of surprised, to be totally honest.
Anyway, he's married and has an estranged son who shows up back into his life. Who is played by Patrick Fugit from Almost Famous. But if you look at the spelling of his name...
His name is Patrick Fugit. And always will be. It's like how you learn the pronunciation of a name. It's like it's going to take us forever to learn Anna Faris. But we latched on to Cillian Murphy so easily.
So, and the third one is Josh Gad, who's basically Don John. He can't stop jerking off. And he has he kind of starts a budding relationship with Pink.
By her shoot name, by the way, in this movie.
What is that?
Alicia Moore.
And they he can't stop jerking off, she can't stop fucking. And they basically become each other's sponsors.
Platonic friends.
Yeah.
Completely.
And then the movie goes from there, and things have their ups and downs and all that bullshit. I'd like to talk about the Ruffalo plot, because that's where I had a problem. Ruffalo's great, and
yes.
so is Gwyneth, actually.
Yeah.
But the problem is this plot. Now, it has like an original feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it can take things in a lot of directions without retreading territory. Unfortunately, the Ruffalo story requires the big lie plot.
Yeah, of course.
Turns out they've just gone out running and biking together.
Mm.
And Gwyneth just got out of a bad relationship with an alcoholic. Now, of course, they don't know it. They haven't known each other very long. This is only the second time they've met, and they're basically deciding to start a relationship together.
Yeah.
And they have their first kiss, and then she talks about her past, and then she says, "I don't want to. I promised myself I'd never date another addict."
Yep.
What does Ruffalo do? Doesn't say anything.
Nope.
Lets it go. Because that will not start a problem at all. Thankfully, about halfway through the movie, they finally put that to rest. But, I mean, still, the big lie plot.
Yeah.
Where you just have to sit there and dread, oh great, there's going to be a big reveal, there's going to be a fight, they're going to go their separate ways, they're going to make up, which is exactly the way it played out.
Yeah.
But still,
they could have done something different.
Come on. the Tim Robbins plot is pretty well-treaded territory, too. The estranged son who, used to be a junkie, but now he's clean, but you still can't trust him, and then it turns out he didn't do something you thought he did, and the fight was for no reason, and you have to make it up to him. Though that is a really emotional scene when, basically Tim Robbins has to, beg him for forgiveness.
Yeah,
he didn't do
I
it.
agree.
Because the way they built his character up, that's not what you expect his character to do.
No.
So that was good. Tim Robbins is really great in this, by the way.
Exactly.
Especially when he's yelling at his neighbor.
Yeah.
And Josh, I hate Josh Gad, but he is alright here.
He actually made me laugh out loud once or twice in the movie, and that doesn't happen very often.
I liked the camera on his shoe.
Yeah.
And he was like, he was using a camera on his shoe to look up his
boss's skirt.
Yeah. And then he's trying to explain it in the group, and he's like, I told her it was a documentary called What the Ground Sees.
The ground sees. That's a brilliant line right there.
Though, another thing was it felt the tone on this movie is totally off. And it's, I suppose it'd be a little formulaic for, everything to go good for... We have 3 parallel stories here.
Yeah, of
well,
course.
not parallel, because they all are in the same group, but... and they intertwine, obviously.
It's a P.T. Anderson movie.
Sponsors, yeah. Parallel was so the wrong word to use there, but...
Yeah.
Regardless, it's never... I know, like I said, I know it would have been cliche to do it this way, but... Normally in a story like this, for everybody, everything would be going good at the same time. And then a downer part, to keep the movie in its downer place segregated.
Mm.
It's all bad at the same time, then it's all good at the same time again. This is all over the place, because it already flashed once, but it'll be fine.
Did it say low battery?
Yeah, it's 20%, but we'll make it.
I hope so.
This is the last movie. It's all over the place, when things are going bad for Ruffalo, they're going good for Tim Robbins, or when they're going bad for Tim Robbins, they're going good for Josh Gad. And it really, I know it would have been cliche and weird in a movie to have them all in the same place at the same time, but I mean, when you have 3 stories you're jumping back and forth with, that really fucks with the tone when it's going great for somebody and horrible for another. And
that's true.
When it goes bad for Ruffalo, it goes to a really dark place for a while there. And there's this really, really awkward scene where he runs into this old girlfriend that he used to bang, and she's into this really fucked up father-daughter smacking around roleplay, and that scene gets really weird.
Yeah, totally.
And for some reason, it's it felt really off because there's a lot of moments where scenes just end. There were a lot of moments where it almost felt like it just cut off in the middle of a scene, and that felt weird.
I can see that.
There's not much of a flow. That's another problem with it bouncing around tonally, is that generally you have a nice flow that kind of makes the movie feel like it keeps moving.
Mm-hmm.
That's not here. And then the movie just rapidly starts to end. When it ends, the wrap up is really sudden.
It's we need to go. It's over. Movie's over.
So, but I mean, as far as it weirdly being put together like that, it's not a bad movie at all. And the performances are really good, and it's got some effective emotional scenes.
Mm.
For some reason, there's a lot of movie and TV references.
Yeah.
Ruffalo and Paltrow's whole relationship is based off a reference to The Sting. Josh Gad riding a bike instead of taking the subway, because taking the subway gets him into trouble because he gets pushed against women and shit ensues. Is a big reference to Il Postino.
They even name drop it too.
There is even though it's pointless, there is a funny scene where Josh Gad is trying to get to where Pink is, and he's telling her to tell him where she is. And he screams, "Tell me!" into the phone, and she accuses him of acting like Jack Bauer.
You went all Jack Bauer on me right there.
My dad used to do that all the time. He would just walk into a room and scream, "Everybody down!" And then say, "That was Jack Bauer."
So he became gold member?
So, that's pretty much it for Thanks for Sharing. It's fine.
I liked it. It's the movie I liked out of everything we watched this week. Well, not everything I watched this week, but I mean everything that was watched this week.
It's almost done in by how weird the feel is and how inconsistent and out all over the place it feels. So that's the reviews. We went an hour and a half. We haven't done that for a while.
No, we haven't. Next week, we're going to be reviewing a couple of things. Actually, we're going to be talking about Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa and The Counselor. And it looks like AJ's finally going to get to watch Escape from Tomorrow, which I actually watched last week. So we're going to be talking about that. And do you have anything else in mind?
That one horror movie from Sunday about the cannibals.
That's what it's about. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, what's it called? We Are What We Are or something.
Something like that, yeah. So that's coming up next week. So we got a lot of verses coming up. 4 within the next 2 weeks. We're about ready to get ready to shoot the next one. So it'll be up later today. So AJ, any parting thoughts?
No.
All right.
That's it.